All right. So today, my question is kind of about free will, and it's a little bit different than the normal thing you hear about free will, where I think people often kind of argue about whether we have free will or not, um, which that might be kind of a part of the conversation. But the main thing I'm wondering about, so I might make statements in this video, but they're not statements that I necessarily 100% believe. They're statements that are going to be made to make a question because I have questions. um, so my question or statement is: sure, if God gave us free will, um, that's great. But even still, if God made us, if God created us, didn't He create us in such a way that we would do certain things? Does that make sense? So, like, if everything that everyone's ever done in life, did God kind of set them up in a way where, um, sure, they had free will to make a choice, but why did they make one choice or the other? You know what I mean? Why did I make one choice that was either good, or why did I make one choice that was maybe not so good? Um, where does that come from? And if I think about it, if God created us, it kind of came from Him in a way, right? Where, um, yeah, I had the free will, but why did I use my free will in one way or the other? Well, it came from me, and either how I was feeling or um, just who I am, I guess. And I am who I am because of how God made me. Um, and so again, those are just not necessarily statements I 100% believe, but that's just like something I struggle with thinking about free will. Is didn't God kind of like make us the way we are? And so I just have a hard time understanding why certain people will make bad decisions or go down a bad path in life, and then maybe they'll go to hell, or maybe if you're LDS Mormon, um, you'll go to the lower kingdoms. But I'm just trying to understand of, well, didn't God kind of create us the way that we are? So um, sure, we might have the free will, but do we really have free will if it's really just our decisions are based off of what's inside of us and God kind of made us? Um, and so that's a hard thing for me to understand, and I just want insights on this. I'm not even necessarily looking for a straightforward answer. I'm just curious to hear what people have to say about this, I guess. But yeah, and then there's obviously different beliefs. So if you have a different belief that's not Mormon or Christian, I'm open to hearing ideas from that angle too. From the Christian point, it's just like, okay, yeah, God created us, um, so it's like He kind of did create us to be who we become, right? Like, where else does our free will or where else do our intentions come from? You know, um, and um, and it kind of like a little bit starts feeding into that one belief. I think it's Calvinism or something, where like everything was kind of like predetermined. Like, I know that there's a scripture verse that kind of says like people were already chosen. You know, like like if we were going to be saved or be one of God's, we were already chosen before it happened. I know there's some people who believe that, but that's kind of like a weird belief to me too. Um, and then for the LDS, I think it's also kind of interesting because uh, they don't necessarily 100% God created us, and this is where I give some props to the LDS, and which is why I'm super. I grew up LDS, by the way. But it's why I've been super interested in coming back. Is they have a lot of answers for things, um, on subjects that before didn't make a lot of sense to me. Uh, Now, not to say that they're perfect on everything, and I don't have any questions about LDS because I do have questions, but um, they they don't necessarily 100% believe that God created us entirely. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but um, LDS is different than the normal Christian because LDS believes that we are actually eternal. While in the Christian sense, we were created by God at one point, while in LDS, we were we are eternal, um, like intelligences, as I understand, where in the beginning there was the universe as a whole, and then there's God who is infinite, right? God who is greater than us, right? Um, but we still existed. God didn't create the intelligences. The intelligences were us. We were just an intelligence or whatever that is, kind of like I picture it as like just a blob, kind of. I don't know why. But God formed us. So we were just an intelligence that was kind of just like random. But God formed us, and God is what makes us become something, right? Um, and so with that, it's very interesting because then it's like, okay, whoa. So then I guess even still, where does our free will come from in that sense? Like, it's still kind of just like um, still just a question. I guess I don't understand the answer of where does our free will come from? Like, not where does the free will come from? Where does our um, choice to make one decision with our free will or another come from? Like, can we really be accountable or responsible for our actions if um, we were kind of just created with the desires, or we were created with the mind that we were given? You know, I guess that's basically what the question is. But if you have any answers, statements, opinions on this, um, I'd love to hear, because it's something I've kind of thought about for a very long time. So, thanks and goodbye.